Happy Thursday, everyone. Hopefully, everybody's doing great. And well, positive vibes for everybody who's watching the recording or the live in a few seconds. So, first of all, let me introduce everybody. I'm pretty sure you know most of us here, but we have Kara Jean from Taking Care of Business or Business Coach, Irina Pornova or Manifestation Coach, and Bruno or Self Love Coach. And here, your guy, John Acosta, Business Wizard. I take care of digital marketing and professional development or personal development. So, today's topic is something that Kara has been seeing recently a lot, but I think it's something that we deal with on the daily basis: rejection. So I would love to start this time with Bruno. So, first thing, Bruno, as a self love coach, you get to hear rejection several times. What will be the most common ways? Just give us two to three bullet points of what would be the most common rejection situations that you see on the daily basis.
People reject how unlimited they can be. People reject the fact that they believe that people won't like the way they are, so they fear to be hated, so they people please. And people also reject how unworthy they are. That's why they hold themselves back from achieving whatever dreams they want to achieve.
Okay. So, as you heard, everything that they're doing by rejecting themselves is holding themselves from the bigger picture, from being a better version of themselves. Irina, so with the manifestation, I'm pretty sure you deal a lot of people rejecting what they would like to be, but what other types of rejections have you seen?
Well, first of all, I just love that topic. And rejection is actually the redirection. Sometimes when we get rejected from one thing, it means that there is something better for us. And that's exactly what I teach people to shift their energy and focus on. So if they have been rejected either at work or by their loved ones or any other situation, just know that this is just redirection. It means that there is something better for them. And that's exactly how our humans nature design. When something doesn't work the way we expected, we all start going that negative spiral and thinking about, oh my god, nobody likes me, people do not listen to what I have to say, and on and on and on. But we want just to pause ourselves and remind that phrase that this is for your highest good, because at that point of time when something happens that is not preferable, we do not see what good is going to come out of it, but we know there is something good that is for us to stay open and see how the things are going to unfold. So actually, I like rejection because it builds a lot of stamina in me. It builds a lot of, strengths and resilience, because I just want to make sure that I can withstand it and it's nothing personal.
Hmm. Great. So, Kara, now since you told us that you've seen this several times, give us a few examples of what you've been seeing lately.
So probably the three most common ones that haven't been said already are when people reject a proposal or an offer. I hear it a lot when people reject a thought or somebody's idea. Like, I told them how something was and they didn't want to listen. And then also when people get their version of their experience rejected. And the flip of that, when they have to reject a proposal or offer, when they are rejecting somebody's thoughts or ideas, or when they disagree with somebody else's experience or version of the experiences. For me, it goes to what Irina was just saying, that it's a lot of that leveraging the good judgment, but leaving out the judgmental part. Like the part that hurts is that we reject. I mean, Bruno already said it. We reject ourselves 1,000 times a day. Right. Mm-hmm. So when somebody else does, we internalize that and think, oh, they're rejecting me, not the offer that I gave. They're rejecting me, not the thought that I was sharing. They're rejecting me, not my version of this experience or their version of experience. We get it judgmental. Rather than using the good judgment, they're rejecting this thing that I have put out before them. We think they're rejecting us as a person. And that seems to come up quite a bit. And that hurts. It hurts when we feel that way. We hurt our own feelings a lot of the time.
Yes. And I was just going to say that we are masters of destroying our self-image. Look, during the 37 years that I've had facing Earth or living here, it's been a constant battle in my mind, mainly the more aware you are of who you are, what you want to become, and the more doubts or rejections start happening in your head. Oh, I cannot be like this because people are going to think this, that, or the third. And I love the thing that Kara just mentioned, and that Irina also mentioned. We take things personal. Like it must be us. If it's not working the way we wanted it, it must be what I did, what I said, how I presented it. It must be this, that, the weather, whatever. You find 20,000 reasons of why you got rejected. And on top of that, even if you find ones that are outside of your control, you find a reason why to feel bad about them. And I love the idea of understanding that we have to be compassionate to ourselves first if we want other people to be compassionate with us. So, Kara, what will be a few methods or ideas on how to handle rejection on your end?
So one of the tools that I use the most with people in this space is the setting of boundaries. And there is a lot of weird information around boundaries out in the world. I hear a lot where people are like, well, I set a boundary and they're not listening to my boundary. They're not following my rules. That's because you can't set boundaries on other people. You can set boundaries on yourself. So one of my favorite tools for that, there are times where you are triggered and feeling rejected, and you can't just leave a space because you're in a business meeting, because you're in a proposal, because you're stuck at the office for another 3 hours. Whatever the thousands of reasons are that you can't just say, this is no longer comfortable with me, I'm going to just take myself out of this situation. So you can gray rock it. This is a term that is used typically around dealing with narcissism and people who are looking for that reaction from you. But it can be used anytime you need to remove yourself from a situation and put your boundary in place. It's sort of like slamming down a boundary wall and not disassociating from what's going on, staying present, staying with yourself, staying here, but not giving to them. And you literally become a gray rock.
Yep.
And you just cease to give them anything from it. It's a really great way to allow yourself to recognize that you've just had a boundary pushed, crossed. You feel a way and you need some time to process that. Pro tip, if you can say, I'm gonna shut down for just a second, give me a minute, and go ahead and just give yourself that space. That communication can go a really long way to letting other people know that you're in a feel space and that you'll be right back with them.
Yep. That is a great way of dealing with it. Now, when you don't have the chance of doing, because you may be in a business meeting, one thing that I have done is the second the meeting is done, I disconnect myself for 2-3 minutes from everything, because you may be thinking, well, sometimes it's my boss that is talking to me and I cannot tell them, dude, give me 2 minutes before I kill you. In reality, there's always going to be something that is going to rub us in the way that we don't want to be rubbed, because we all have feelings, we all have desires, we all have dreams. And maybe what they're saying in that second is going against what you believe during that time. And that's when you have to sit down and rationalize things. One of the things that I always tell every person that has worked with me in the past is, because I tend to have a very strong personality. Like, if I say something is the way that it's gonna go, and even if I don't mean to like run through it, somehow I manage to do it. And I don't do it in a mean way. It's just that I'm used to, like, that is my north. That's where I'm going. Either lead me, follow me, or get out of my way, because I'm not stopping. And that has been so ingrained in my head that most of the time that is on autopilot. And that is dangerous. Although it sounds like a great thing to live by, because that shows how determined I am, I can run over people that I didn't mean to run over. So whenever you have that situation of something overwhelmed you, something got you out of your comfort zone, stop for a second and do a fact check. What are the pros? What are the cons? And this one is the most important, but the question that we try to avoid. Did what the other person say make sense? Is there any truth in it? Because most of the time we believe that we are the only ones who hold the truth. And that ain't true at all. At all. So that brings me back to Irina.
You
When
know
you're-
what, Johnny? I really wanted to reflect what you said, like, do they say the truth? And, like, sometimes what I notice, we have to reject that truth that's given to us, because people are given the opinion of what they think of us, but that it's only their opinion. So we really have to know who we are in order to be able to command our mind and say, I'm not going to accept it. Because exactly that's how we are running with our subconscious programs. Because people are throwing the comments our way and we internalize them right away, because we accept everything, and everything falls from our conscious mind to our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind can't reject or accept anything. It all starts from here. And when everything falls into subconscious mind, guess what? Those are the programs that we are running. If people are saying something that's not truth about ourselves, but we accept that as the truth, guess what? It's going to reflect on our behavior. It's going to reflect on our beliefs. It's going to reflect in our life results. So when we talk about the truth from other people, I always follow my truth. And if something doesn't match what they are given to me, I know how to reject it. I know how to command my conscious mind to not take it personally.
I have a question, but Kara raised her hand first. Go ahead, Kara.
Because I love this. I love that we're going here. So rejection, right? Just because someone else is right does not mean that you are wrong. Right?
Mhm.
That is their life, their experience. Now, this becomes a really weird space when we're talking about rejecting somebody's experience or their idea of you or their idea of your history together, right? This can come up a lot with trauma and drama. If somebody is an aggressor and they're like, no, I did all of the right things, it's you're the problem. And then they put you into the villain or the victim role. And then we take on, getting out ahead of myself. So we talk about this a lot in leadership, that there are stories that we tell ourselves, and your story can lift you up and keep you going and make you stronger, or it can tear you down and put you into that space where you have to come up with a story to villainize somebody else so that you can take on the, my intent was right, there was nothing I could do space. Or the other way around, right? Like that's nothing, that guy was the bad guy, there was nothing they could have. We love to tell these stories where in real life, most of the time, people really have the right intent, and it's just that their behaviors don't align to that. Like making those two line up is an entire job in and of itself. So when we reject somebody else's experience of us or their experience of our time together, that can help us align around our values, accept that they, that their version is absolutely right for them, but I don't have to take that on. And check yourself with that. Is that because you have created a villain or a victim story around the situation where you have been victimized or you have been villainized, either direction? And how much is that a real story, or how much of that is a story you are telling yourself? These feedback from other people, you are allowed to reject it if it does not align with your life. That's their life. It's not your life. But if somebody is willing to say that they have a different experience than yours, it may mean that you kind of need to check what stories you have been telling and see, is it that they really intended to be a jerk and that experience that they were the villain or they were the victim, or, which is more likely, they had all of the right intents and just went about it in a really bad way, or you had all of the right intent and just went about it in a really bad way. And in which case, again, you can go into that, take away the judgmental space and go right into that, oh, if we look at all the different perspectives, now it's this thing that happened and we can deal with this, rather than internalizing that rejection or forcing them to.
Mm-hmm. And on that one, that's the part that I wanted to clarify, because I mean, Kara did a great job of clarifying, because one thing is going against of what I call my non-negotiables, my life principles. And on that one, Irina, I'm 100% with you on the part that you should not take no BS from somebody else just because they want to dump that on you. On that one, I'm 100% with you. But when it comes to like Kara was saying a minute ago, business proposal, working with teams, working with other people, there are times that you have to check on yourself. Otherwise, you will start being that villain that you don't want to be, but you may actually start being the villain. There's people that are very sensible. That I agree with you. There's people that you cannot tell them no because immediately you just broke their life. But I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the people that tell you, hey, dude, I don't feel right because of this, that, and the third. So just giving you a piece of my mind. And then it's up to you as a leader to say, you know what, let me sit down and think about it, because you may be only seeing things through your eyes and not through the rest of your team, or not through the rest of what's better for the company as a whole. And there's where I say you have to be careful with what's your principles as a person and what is better for the whole, as a society, as a company, as a business. Two different points of view on rejection and on how to handle it. On the personal side, I agree with you, Irina, 1,000,000%. Don't back down, because those are your negotiables. Non-negotiables, those are the ones that made you the person who you are. But you're working with a team, with other people. Check yourself as a leader. Like I said, I've been very blessed that I've been in positions of leadership. But like I said, the way that I am makes me sometimes run over other people. And now that I am aware of it, I do my best to, whenever I notice it, right away apologize, because that's never my intent. It's just that I'm trying to like get things perfect and get things lined up, but that's never gonna be my intent to mess up somebody else's. Mhm.
And I was talking from the personal perspective. I did not talk about, because I never mentioned the word of the team, or like in the group of people. I was talking about the personal. When you hear something that somebody gives you their advice or opinion about yourself, this is exactly what I was referring to.
Yes, thank you. That's why I said I had a question for it before Kara jumped, because I want to know if you were talking about the personal or in general.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was listening to you guys, and I was letting you all finish because you were all asking questions to each other. And I was observing, and I have three things to say. So number one, it's you versus you. It will always be. Number two, maybe they're right, and there's nothing wrong with them being right. You have to take it professionally. because it's like I feel like a lot of people, they put so much emotion and energy. A majority of that emotion and energy sometimes doesn't even have to do with that actual job. It's things that people bring from outside of their job into their own job, which people do shouldn't anyways, because that's ultimately super unprofessional, right? And then number three is, like, again, like, take it professionally. Don't put so much emotion into it. Learn to understand, like, if, like, usually sometimes when people rejection also comes with pressure, right? Like, sometimes, like, when people give you a deadline is because they believe in you, because they would just give that deadline to somebody else. If people are putting you in a position of stress or pressure, is because they believe that you can do it, right? Because then they would just find somebody else to do it, right? And so pressure is a privilege, not just because of how much you can get from, how much you can learn in such small amount of time, right? But at the same time, it's also, it's also beneficial for you, right? And so, yeah, those are really the three things I kind of wanted to say. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna take a mini break, and on that break, I'm gonna let Irina go over her event. So let me go ahead and give Irina the floor. Let's go ahead.
Woo! Okay, this is the Supercharge Your Manifesting Powers. We just started this event yesterday, but guys, there is so much wisdom and clarity for everybody who wants to understand how manifestation really works and manifest everything that they want for the longest. And this is the event that's running for 14 days. Continue the registration, because you are going to hear the wisdom from two experts every day. It's going to come to your inbox, and you have 24 hours from 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next day to watch these two experts sharing their wisdom. And it's total 1 hour. Please join us and see for yourself how we all supercharge our manifestation powers.
Can you hear me, or was I with no sound a minute ago?
Yeah.
No? Okay, so Kara also has an event coming up. I had it and I don't know what I did with it. Let me go ahead and put it back on. There. Okay, Kara, so please explain to us about your event. The link is right.
Oh, I'm so excited. I have partnered with some ladies in the Tri-Cities of Washington, so Kennewick, Washington, and we are doing an 11 months, well, a year, but 11 series retreat. These are micro retreats designed to allow you to revive and reconnect and re-engage with yourself, with transformation in the space, without having to like go away and spend the money for an entire week. How you can have those now and experience being the leading lady in your life today. We do not care what the genre of your movie is, provided that you are living as the lead of it. And we want to make sure that we're supporting the ladies in our community to that. It will be once a month, every month on a Saturday from 1 to 4. And the locations are in the Tri-Cities. We would love to have you come from wherever you are to be here. If you are coming from out of town, let me know and I'll help you find a hotel.
All right. Well, welcome everybody back. So remember, we have an online event with Irina and an in-person event with Kara. Don't miss those two. Those two will help you realign with yourself. And on top of that, get you to meet with like-minded people. My tongue got twisted. Like-minded people. And the power when you meet like-minded people, it's amazing. Don't miss out on that one. Okay, so back to our rejection topic. Okay, how do we fix this? How do we start creating a healthier situation for ourselves? I would like to start with Bruno, just because he deals with women. And to me, please don't take this the wrong way. Kara goes serious immediately. To me, women are the most beautiful beings in the world, but they reject themselves so much more than men. So, Bruno, what will be a few tips on how to correct that mindset?
All right, so I would like to start from the beginning because there's a lot here. Well, I'll not take much long, anyways. So it starts from actually when they're 12 and 14, when they start to understand that high school is coming, and oh my God, I need to marry a guy with a big ass GPA, or I'm gonna end up in my mom's basement and die alone, right? And so I advise you all to watch a documentary called Misrepresentation. It's an amazing documentary. It's ridiculously amazing. Lots of percentages and lots of really how women are represented in the media and everything, because the media has a big play in here. Men and women learn how to treat themselves through the media, and men learn how to treat women through the media, through movies, through the way women are represented and everything, right? And then women look at that and they don't even understand that the majority of the photos that appear on billboards are actually digitalized. Those faces are not the actual face of the person. The eyes are zoomed in, the cheeks are more like this on purpose, right? And a lot of people, they actually don't know that. And women look at that and they fight. They believe it's true, and they end up fighting for something that is completely fake, right? So they're fighting for a standard that is not real. So all their life, they will end up fighting for a representation of their body or the ideals that they should have, which are not even naturally real, right? It's almost like you ended up in a lab and you were chemically made, like by some vegetable, right? And so that's where it all starts, because then women overgeneralize, because rejection then comes because of perfectionism, and then there's the shame, and then there's the guilt, right? And then there's shame and guilt because they're not going to be perfect, but then there's shame and guilt because they don't even try, right? And so there's so many reasons overwhelming them on why they're not doing when they don't even think that they can, right? Because the standards that they try to obtain have become so normal of having in their own minds and lives because of what people expect of them, right? Then they don't even know what to relate to, what to identify with. They see everybody do something. Maybe that's what I should be doing, because if everybody's doing it, must be right. And they never look within. They always look to the external, right? And so something that I really advise women to do is to journal their behavior, journal their feelings, what they're feeling. Look for a safe place to do it, even if it's inside a closet. That's number one. Number two, a tip that I love to give women is to I think I said this before. I don't know if it was here or not, but to sit down. Have a table. Imagine yourself in a room. You have a table and you're sitting down in front of your future self, and you're looking at the person, and you're asking the person questions, and you're imagining what your future self, the desired future self that you want to be, would reply to you. That's number two. That's a very good one, because you're programming your brain to become that, right, and to act like that, because now you have somebody to behave like until you are that person, right? And you're not copying other people. You're copying your unique you. So you're not copying anything. You're just being yourself. And then number three is understand that you never have to ask permission to do anything in your life. This is not the 1400s anymore. Unless you're in some country where women don't have those rights, right? Which is just the way the world is. But in majority of cases, you're not in the situation. I believe so. Anyways, in this case, in this type of situation, you're not. And so you don't have to ask permission to do anything, right? You do not have to be what anybody wants you to be. You do not have to say or relate or go to the same places that everybody goes to simply because people go to. Right? It's better to be alone, knowing that you're with yourself, you're with the right person, than really being with other people. Because let's face it, loneliness comes from not being able to answer the biggest questions in life, right? You feel lost because you don't know where to go, because you don't know how to answer those questions, right? It's one of the reasons why loneliness is there. But at the same time, there's no such thing as spending too much time alone. Okay, that's not a thing. You either like it or you don't. Simple as that, right? But if you tell me that you spend the majority of your time alone thinking about your problems because you don't have healthy habits in place, well, then I wouldn't like to be alone too. That's for sure. I think nobody would, right? Um, and so it's all about knowing how to put those habits into place. You are the sum of all the habits you have put into place until today. And so again, number one, journal. Number two, do that visualizing exercise where you sit in front of the other person, your future self. And then number three, um, again, right, all that I just said, but also understand that struggle is real. You don't have to cry every single day, but if you don't give yourself, like, if you don't show yourself, and if you don't give yourself the opportunity for you to be proud of yourself, one, nobody's going to give you that opportunity. And number two, you are also not giving yourself the opportunity, and you are the one who has to give yourself the opportunity, right? You have to give yourself a chance, right? Because like, I saw this quote like just now. I love stoicism, from Marcus Aurelius, and it says, injustice comes from doing nothing, right? And so you feel injustice because you're not doing anything. It's like you feel injustice because life is this way and that way and whatever, but you're not taking accountability for your situations. Like, as long as I'm not gonna try and be rude here, because again, like, I sometimes, like, my words can be rude. I'm even surprising myself right now. But like, it's one of those things where mommy and daddy and like whoever it is will never be there forever. And you have to learn how to survive and thrive and live for yourself and by yourself. And you can do this, and we all believe in you, especially me, because I'm a women's self coach. And you can do this, like, you're not alone, you're never alone. And so dig it, attack it, take your claws out.
All
Time to
right,
eat.
all right, perfect. Thank you, Bruno. And Irina, from the manifestation point of view, how can we help ourselves to get better at handling or dealing with rejection?
You know what? It's a great question because we train ourselves, right? The same way we train our brain muscle, the same way as we would train our physical body. And it's the process, right? We cannot just decide tomorrow I'm going to be dealing great with rejection, because watch what's going to happen, right? We are going to fall into our old behaviors, into our programming, right? So if we really want to face that rejection and to know how to better deal with that, we start training our brain muscle and do some exercises, and just say to yourself that I'm going to be comfortable to receive whatever comes my way. But again, I'm going to sift through and see what's truth for me and what is not. And I think it's all comes back to be mindful and being aware. The more you start asking these kind of questions, how can you deal better with the rejection? The deeper you ask these questions, the better answers are going to come up for you. And I agree with Bruno regarding the journaling, because when we journal, we actually connect into the source, and we start sourcing the ideas and the answers that we would never receive just by thinking about something. So journaling is a very deep practice, and it's very, very highly recommended. because we can pull out these answers from ourselves, because we all have already the answers inside. So journaling, I would say, number one tool. And number two, just keep keep building that brain muscle. And the more you do it, the better you become to deal with the rejection. And you're not going to take it personally, but you're going to take it more in the objective way.
Yep. And that is actually a good, healthy way to get started. I love Bruno's points, Irina's points. Let's hear about Kara.
It's really kind of a regurgitation of what they said in a different way, right? The very first step. Okay, so whether it is they're rejecting your offer, your thought, your idea, your experience, breathe. Just take a big clearing breath, right? And then let go of blame. Whether it is taking it on and claiming it yourself, or playing the blame game and wanting them to claim the blame for it, just let go. Rumination on who is to blame for any situation gets you locked in who's to blame and playing that game, rather than looking at the situation, right? If we're trying not to internalize the rejection, we need to make sure we're putting it where it belongs, which is the concept, the idea, the thought. And then reminders. An offer is not an obligation. If you make a proposal, you put an offer on the table and somebody doesn't want it, they don't want the offer. That has nothing to do with you as a person. That is, offers are not obligations. And whether it's a thought, an idea, or their version of an experience, that is heavily impacted by our BS, by our belief systems. And what is right for me is not always going to be right for somebody else. So let that go. Look at what is, and then look for that alignment. Is there a place that we can agree, that we can move forward from? Or is this just an awareness piece that says this is not going to work? And then you get to look at that relationship, which changes rejection into relation. And we can build relationships. We can repair relationships. We can let go of relationships. And that'll help you move through that rejection. And then everything they were saying, all of those self-care tools, recognize what feelings came up, journal about it, think about it, go through those experiences and those feelings for yourself. Validate what you know is absolutely right for you, and allow other people to have that exact same thing. Let them validate their thing. You don't have to attach to that. So breathe. Let go of blame, look for alignment, and then take care of yourself.
Yep. I like the part where Kara said, take care of yourself. And I'm going to reel back because I agree with Kara. The whole journaling, everything that Bruno said, I think those are the foundations on how to deal with it. I love that Irina also shares the same mindset and you and I, because rejection, although it's tough to deal with it because nobody likes to feel rejected, it's something that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of our lives. And what better way than to learn how to deal with it in a healthy way? And I say on a healthy way because rejection will start eating up your personality, because you're never going to feel secure enough to say or do or voice your opinion because you're so afraid of being rejected. One thing that I would suggest for business professionals on the rejection side, when you're presenting a proposal, when you're presenting a project, is this. Number one, if the person already led you in their business to have a meeting and present or pitch your proposal, that is already a win. If the person sat down and listened to everything you had to say, that's a win. If the person, after everything you said, thank you very much, it's not for me, that's a win, because that person is avoiding you for wasting a lot of time on them instead of working with your next prospect. Okay. And I say that because a lot of people, when they're pitching, they get so focused, like, okay, I pitch, and you're expect, and I know that everybody tells you, as a salesperson or sales professionals, they tell you, expect to win, expect, be ready for the yes. But that's not reality. Reality that people may say no. Now, there are times where you're gonna have to sit back in the drawing board and say, you know what? I could do my pitch a little bit better. Hey, maybe I can cover some more benefits for them that I have not covered in the past. Or, one thing that I love to do is after a month or two after I have pitched somebody and they have said no, I tell them, hey, I was wondering if you can give me 2 minutes of your time, because it's really important for me to understand why it didn't work out for you, or if I missed something that I don't want to miss for the next person in your field. This will help you in two ways. Number one, it will help you if the person really said no because really you didn't clarify something that was very important to them. A, you have a chance of learning about it and maybe giving them a solution and closing again. Or B, the most important one of all, you may learn what you missed, and next time that you see with somebody else, that should be the first thing that you should present to them. Because sometimes it's a matter of what the other person wants to receive. There's a book by Dale Carnegie, and I know you hear a lot from it from me because it's just one of my favorite books, that he says that when he goes fishing, he doesn't think about what he likes. He likes strawberries and cream. But fish do not like strawberries and cream. They want worms, and they want crickets, and they want little fishes. So he will never offer strawberries and cream to the fish, but he will offer what they like. So sometimes it's a matter of perspective. In rejection is just a game on how to realign your pitch better when you're talking about business. When you're talking about on the personal basis, on the relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, relationship sometimes has to deal with ego. I don't think we touched that during our conversation today. So I think we did, because Kara did mention about feeling as a victim or a villain. That has to deal with ego. And you really have to care enough to sit down and figure out on your own, not sit down your partner in front of you, on your own, figure out if your ego's playing a bad joke on you. And the last one, if you're dealing with coworkers that are reluctant to cooperate, there are times when you may want the rejection to happen so things start showing on their own. So, and it's not for the I told you so at the end, although that gives us some pleasure, but the reality is for the greater good for everybody. Okay, and would anybody like to add anything to what we have said today?
I just want to highlight what you just said there in another way. Rejection is often an opportunity to check for alignment, whether that is in a proposal, whether that is in a co-working situation, whether that is in dating, whether that's within your family, within your friends. It's an opportunity to find out if the alignment is there and where it's not, and do you want to fix it?
Yes. So now that you have tools, let me remind you, you can get a hold of Kara at Kara Jean, at takingcareofbusiness.com, or Kara's Corner on her Facebook page. Now for Irina, she has her Facebook page, which is Life Palette.
No,
Right?
the Facebook page is oh, I'm sorry. Yes, business page. Yes, Life Palette.
Life Palette. Or what's your website, Irina?
No, send people to my group, Uplifting Self Talk,
Uplift and
Facebook
Self-Talk.
group.
Okay. Bruno, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. But if we're talking about Facebook, Free Love Spirit Tribe Group.
Okay, perfect. And for me, just email me at soulentertainmentart@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to assist you either with your digital marketing, personal development, or a mix of both. Because we do get to deal with teams, and sometimes that's needed. So, on the meantime, does anybody want to add anything before we say goodbye until next Thursday? Okay, so
Goodbye
everyone,
till next
Bye.
Thursday.
Next
there we
Thursday.
go.
Bye.
Bye.